my name is Aya McGee. I'm here with Linda Kelly, and we are going to discuss the Baltimore riots of 1968 that happened after the assassination of Martin Luther King. Can you tell me where you were born and what year?
Baltimore, Maryland, 1960.
Which hospital?
City Hospital at that time, which is now Bayview of Johns Hopkins.
Mm-hmm. What historical event did you live through?
The Martin Luther King riots.
Okay. How old were you during the time?
8.
And who was in the house with you?
My grandmother, my grandfather, because that's who raised me. So at that time, that's who was home.
Can you tell me about the event from your eyes?
What I basically remember was how the neighborhood was upset and they were crying, but yet they went out to loot the stores that had nothing really to do with the riot itself, or the death of Martin Luther King itself. And they was breaking into stores and they was burning out TVs and liquor and whatever was around them that they could carry out, they was carrying out.
Were you upset seeing all the commotion outside your house?
I was more so, what's a good word? Amazed, maybe? Because this was all new to me. And to see people running up and down the street like that was abnormal. But yet the police cars weren't coming up and down the street to stop it. But yet then the police on horseback came. And then they deported the Humvees and stuff like that from 5th Regiment Armory.
Mm-hmm. What were your parents doing during the time?
You know, I think my mother was working, or my mother had just got home from work. But my grandmother and them was home with me.
So the riots lasted for almost a whole week, a little over a week. Do you remember having to stay indoors?
Yes, it was like everybody was basically on shutdown, and you only could go out if you were working at like a hospital or you had a job that you had to go out. Mm-hmm. But other than that, you were supposed to stay indoors.
Okay. What happened if anyone was to walk outside?
They supposedly would be locked up at that point. But I'm from Sandtown, Winchester, so the police station was only like a block away. So they couldn't house with so many in that precinct. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it was limited as to what they were doing.
When you were that young, did you understand what was going on?
Not really. Not until, you know, you sit down in front of the TV and they were telling you what was going on, and then you ask your grandparents or your mother or your father questions about it. Then I understood a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Was anyone that you loved harmed during the riots?
No.
Good. That's very good. What was the government's response to the riot?
You want my thoughts for today's time or that time?
No, during that time, okay. What did you see?
During that time, it was more so either lock them down or I apologize. Okay, I apologize. Okay, I apologize. But it was either to lock them up or make sure they be orderly and stay where they need to stay. I call you back.
How would you say the event affected your life?
I think more so now today, I understand it even more. Mm-hmm. I understand what they kept from me as a child and the true what actually happened in the incident. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you remember the riots that happened just a couple years ago back here in Baltimore. Was it as bad as the riot then in 1968?
Okay. 68 was a riot.
Mm-hmm.
The one that happened on Pennsylvania Avenue
Yeah.
was an uprising.
Okay.
It was a difference. The meaning of it was different.
Mm-hmm.
They was trying to bring across the same points, but the total difference was you only had a small sector doing it opposed to it being worldwide or nationwide.
Right. Mm-hmm. I can understand that. Overall, what did your parents tell you about the event?
Back then, it was more so that Martin Luther King was trying to make everyone as a unit,
Mm-hmm.
or bring harmony to all denominations. And I get that and I got that. But today in time, I don't see that.
Okay.
Okay.
Last question, then we'll wrap it up. Do you remember a situation where you were presented with racism that reminded you of your childhood riot?
I can say somewhat as far as racism would be in your workplace or in your schools, with your education. How we're taught, because we as blacks are still being taught the mediocre educational system and not the true educational system. But until we can get up and research and understand for ourselves, we won't truly know the value of education.
I understand. Thank you so much for your time, and I just want to thank everybody for listening to us. Thank you.
Have a great one.